Everyone in Ethan Walker's town believed success followed a simple path. Graduate, work hard, move up, and one day happiness would follow. Ethan tried to believe it too. At 24, he had done everything expected of him, yet a quiet restlessness stayed with him wherever he went. He worked long days and slept short nights, always feeling as if something important was missing. If you're enjoying this story and want to learn something meaningful, make sure you watch till the end and subscribe to True Wisdom Dailies. By day, Ethan delivered packages across the same Midwestern streets where life seemed frozen in time. By night, he lay awake, staring at the ceiling, feeling tired in a way rest could not cure. He wasn't lazy or ungrateful. He simply felt disconnected from the life he was living, like a man moving without knowing his direction. Watching others only deepened the feeling. Friends posted about promotions, new homes, and big plans. Ethan didn't envy them, he questioned himself. He wanted meaning, not just motion. His grandfather Henry noticed the change. Henry had lived a long, ordinary life. Farms, factories, and finally a small hardware store that once supported the family. Age had slowed his body, but sharpened his understanding. Most evenings, he sat on the porch, watching the sky change colors as the sun disappeared. One quiet night, Henry spoke without turning his head. "You're moving fast," he said. "But you look lost." Ethan exhaled slowly. "I just want my life to matter." Henry nodded. Meaning doesn't come from rushing. It comes from understanding why you're moving at all. Later that night, Henry handed Ethan a small envelope. Inside was a folded map and a short handwritten note. "Go west. Follow this road. Don't rush, and don't turn back until you understand why you started." The next morning, with little more than a backpack, limited cash, and unanswered questions, Ethan started driving west. He believed he was chasing direction. What he didn't know was that the road ahead was about to challenge everything he believed about purpose, success, and life itself. The road stretched endlessly ahead of Ethan, cutting through open fields, small towns, and highways that felt older than time. At first, he drove fast, as if speed itself could deliver answers. He checked the map often, anxious about wasting time, worried that stopping meant falling behind an invisible race. The first few days felt empty. Gas stations blurred together. Motels looked the same. Silence filled the car once the music stopped. With no schedule and no one expecting updates, Ethan felt uneasy. Without deadlines, his thoughts grew louder. Questions he had avoided for years surfaced about failure, about success, about whether he had chosen the wrong life. In a small town in Nebraska, his car broke down. Forced to stop, Ethan spent the night at a modest roadside diner where an older woman ran the place alone. She moved slowly, but spoke warmly, asking nothing more than simple questions. When Ethan explained he was just passing through, she smiled. "Most people are," she said. "Some notice it, some don't." The repair took 2 days. With nothing else to do, Ethan helped clean tables, listened to stories from locals, and learned how many lives existed beyond resumes and achievements. People spoke of loss, resilience, quiet joys, and small victories. No one asked what he did for a living. No one cared about his plans. When his car was fixed, Ethan left with a strange feeling he couldn't name. He had lost time but gained something else. As he traveled farther west, landscapes changed. Flatlands gave way to hills, and hills to open plains. Weather turned unpredictable. Some days he drove for hours. Other days, storms forced him to stop early. At first, the interruptions frustrated him. Slowly, he began to accept them. One evening, parked near a wide-open field, under a sky filled with stars, Ethan realized something unsettling. For the first time in years, he wasn't rushing. And without the rush, his fear softened. He started noticing things, sunsets that felt endless, conversations that stayed with him, moments that didn't need to lead anywhere to matter. The road no longer felt like an obstacle. It felt like a teacher. Yet deep inside, a question remained. If this journey wasn't about reaching a destination quickly, then what was it preparing him for? Ethan folded the map carefully and placed it back in his bag. For the first time, he didn't check how far he had left to go. He focused only on the road directly in front of him, unaware that the hardest and most revealing part of his journey was still ahead. By the time Ethan reached the mountains, the journey had already changed him. The road narrowed, climbed higher, and demanded patience. There were stretches where his phone lost signal completely, leaving him alone with his thoughts and the steady sound of tires on gravel. Instead of feeling anxious, he felt strangely calm. One afternoon, a sudden storm forced him to pull over near a small mountain town. With no hotels available, an older couple offered him a place to stay for the night. They lived simply, growing their own food and repairing what they could instead of replacing it. Over dinner, they spoke about their life, how they had once chased bigger cities and better jobs, only to realize they were happiest when they stopped running. That night, lying in a quiet room, Ethan thought about his grandfather's words. He realized how often he had measured his worth by speed and comparison. Here were people who had chosen a slower life, not because they had failed, but because they had understood what mattered to them. As the days passed, Ethan faced new challenges. His money ran low. He learned to budget carefully, cook simple meals, and fix small problems on his car by himself. Each difficulty forced him to rely less on comfort and more on his own ability. Instead of feeling weaker, he felt more capable than ever before. He also noticed how his perspective had shifted. When he met people, he listened more and spoke less. When plans fell apart, he adapted instead of resisting. The journey had stripped away his need for constant certainty and replaced it with trust in himself and in the process. One evening, as he stood on a high overlook watching clouds drift below him, Ethan understood something clearly. He hadn't become successful in the way he once imagined, but he had become present. He was learning to live instead of rushing through life. Still, one final question remained unanswered. If the journey itself held so much meaning, what was waiting for him at the end of the road? And more importantly, would he be ready to understand it when he arrived? With the mountains behind him and the map growing lighter in his pocket, Ethan continued forward, unaware that the final lesson would challenge everything he thought he had learned so far. After weeks on the road, Ethan finally reached the place marked on his grandfather's map. It wasn't a city, a company, or an opportunity waiting to be claimed. It was simply a quiet stretch of land overlooking a wide valley, calm and ordinary. There was nothing there that looked like success, and nothing that promised answers. At first, disappointment washed over him. He stood there in silence, wondering if the journey had been a mistake. But as the wind moved gently through the grass and the sun lowered in the sky, something shifted inside him. For the first time, he wasn't asking what he was supposed to gain. He was noticing how he felt. He thought about the people he had met, the nights he had spent unsure, the skills he had learned, and the fear he had slowly let go of. He realized that the road had never been about reaching this place. It had been about who he became while moving toward it. When Ethan returned home, his grandfather was waiting on the porch, just as he always had been. They didn't speak much. They didn't need to. Ethan understood now what Henry had known all along: that purpose, ISNT. Something you chase until you collapse. It's something that grows quietly when you learn, adapt, and live with awareness. Ethan didn't suddenly have all the answers, but he had something far more valuable. He had clarity, patience, and trust in himself. He no longer felt the need to rush or compare. Life wasn't a race to win. It was an experience to understand, one step at a time. The road had promised him everything. What it gave him was something better. True purpose isn't found at the destination. It's built through the journey, the lessons, and the growth we allow along the way. If you enjoyed this story, please like, comment, share, and subscribe for more meaningful stories. Thank you for watching. Let us know in the comments what topic you'd like next.